Hi, this is Kylie Koo. Welcome to my studio and welcome to creating a positivity deck. This is week 6 and this week we'll be looking at self-care. So I've chosen self-care this week for a number of reasons. We're into February, past that kind of the newness, so to speak, of the new year. Also at that point where if people have made resolutions, they might have already broken them or feel that they're testing them. And if you're one of those, then you will not be alone. Many of you may still be going strong with any resolutions. I don't make resolutions, but I do try and have intention or intentions with regards to a number of things. I had planned to look at self-care in a few weeks' time, but after self-love last week, I felt very strongly, very intuitively that self-care had to follow on this week. I see the two as different. I think it's possible to practice self-care, but not self-love. But if we can find self-love, then self-care, at least it seems to me, has to be a part of that. I will be honest though, I did wonder how with self-love I could say I am enough, but then with self-care look to do something that perhaps contradicts that. And I'm talking here about aspects of self-care that might mean, I suppose, denying myself of certain things to achieve a particular outcome. And this has gone round and round in my mind all week. And I wish I could have somehow captured all of that thought process. But here's where I got to. And it's not about denying myself of anything. But as part of self-love, I accept myself for who I am. And I accept myself for all that I am. I also accept that I have the right to make choices. And I choose, through my self-love, to work towards improving my mind, body and spirit, because that is what I want to do for me. And I will do so through a package of self-care that I design for myself. So what self-care is will be different for each of us, because we're all different and our lives are all different. So I invite you to think about self-care and what practicing self-care would mean for you and not what it would mean for others. I ask you to keep in mind that as part of self-love, you are enough. So whether your self-care is going to the gym or simply making the bed, whether it's taking long bubble baths or brushing your hair, whether it's painting a canvas or watching an art video, it's about you and it's about what you see as being part of your self-care and what you feel capable of doing at this time. If you've been journaling along with me, or if you can remember your thoughts from previous weeks, then go back and think about the things that helped you relax, that helped you breathe, helped you find calm, and that helps you with stillness. For in there, you may find some of the things that could be part of your package of self-care. I chose to break my package down into really kind of daily, weekly and monthly. And I struggled on the weekly. But this is something I will go back to in time. And just shortly I do actually add to my list to actually review the list. And some of these are just very basic things, like sleep, for example. I don't sleep well, I don't sleep enough, and I really don't try to sleep enough. And things that I've kind of got out of the habit of doing, like reading. And I know that I should be upping my fruit and veg. I used to eat lots of it, and slowly but surely it's decreased. And I know that if I eat more of that, then that will help me in my self-care. So as I say, I invite you to think about the things that would form part of a self-care package for yourself, designed by yourself. So here I am, I'm turning to my card, and I'm going to start with a layer of gesso. And again, all I do is think about all those positive things that I've journaled about, and think about how I'm going to represent that in a card, and in a way that's meaningful to me. And again, if you're making a card, it just has to be meaningful for you, so that when you look at that card, you get those positive feelings. So again, I'm just slowly gessoing the card. I realise that the gesso is so thick that there's a bit of resistance there, and I simply add some water to help me work it through. And even that little aspect of adding some water and realising that it helped the gesso to spread easier just made me think that sometimes that's what we need to do. We just need to add a little of something else just to help us through. So in a moment I'll dry this, but off camera I did apply another 2 layers of gesso. And here's the card now. So I decided that in this particular instance I wanted to use a script stamp just by way of a background. I knew that most of it would be covered up, but I wanted to look at the card and have the script stamp represent, in a sense, my commitment to what I'd set out in my journal. So when I look at this card, I will think, I've written some things in my journal for my package of self-care that I want to be reminded of. And this was a very simple way of building that into the card. And I deliberately move the card round so that the writing is going in all different directions. Because for me, there was something symbolic about that as well. So just making sure that my ink will stay in place by giving it a very quick dry. I then felt drawn to this desert turquoise colour, and I want a layer of this where it's not too thick. I still want to be able to see some of that script through it. And so I begin to put that layer on. Now I have been thinking that I know there's a number of you following along with this, and a number of you have joined my Positivity Deck Facebook group, and a lot of you sharing your work in there, and some, well, each piece of work that you share is really amazing. It's wonderful, and thank you all for sharing. I did wonder though about if people still had questions about this, about the process, about where it's going. Then, if you do have a question, feel free to ask. Any questions that have come up so far, I've tried to answer in terms of responding to the comments. But if there were sufficient questions, then I might do a kind of question and answer session. So if you have a question, either leave it below, Or I will also open a file up in the Facebook group where you can add questions there. And as I say, if they're sufficient, I'll do a Q&A session. So now that I've got my layer of turquoise on, I'm just taking this, it's a dried out wipe, and I just want to lift a little bit of it. As I say, I didn't want too thick a layer. I wanted to see at least a bit of the script through it. And again, I'll give that a quick dry. And then I looked out this stamp. It's from a Paper Artsy set. And I'm just going to use a sepia ink. I felt that black would be too strong for this card. But I wanted to put these circles down because I almost saw within that the three kind of aspects of mind, body and spirit. Or the way I saw it in my mind was that in the centre was spirit, the next layer was mind, and then body towards the outside. And again, just making sure that the ink is set. And what I'm going to do now is to take three colours, and again, these were the colours that I was drawn to represent spirit, then mind, and then body. And I'm just going to fill in those circles, starting in the centre with each colour. So these are iridescent paints. I did want it to kind of stand out a little bit. I'm just trying to stay within the stamped circle, but you know, not too concerned if I go over the edges. So now going into the next layer with this colour. On another occasion, you know, I might have used different colours. It was very much just what I was drawn to today. And again, just very much taking my time. And on to my final colour. But off camera, what I do is to go round these one more time. And now I'm taking this gold, and what I want to do is to almost put a circle of dots around each of those circles that's representing mind, body and spirit. I think in my mind it was a sense of protecting each, but not putting a solid line around them, because there's a connection between the three. So it was recognising each for what it is, but then also being aware that they are all connected. And I continued with that until I had all the dots in that I wanted. And each step of the way, I stop, I look, and I think about what else I feel I need to put into the card. And here I felt that I wanted to add some more of that gold. And I wanted to take it over the turquoise colour. Not to remove the turquoise completely, but just to add that kind of iridescent colour over it. And I just kept adding this slowly until I got to the point where I felt that there was enough. And then once done, it would just be a case of putting my word onto the card. So now I'm taking a gel pen it's a kind of dark blue purple colour. It's not a particular brand make, it's just one that I got in a set from a supermarket. And all I'm going to do now is to write self-care. I go over it once more, and then I decide to finish it off by just putting in a little sketchy border. And then once more, all I'll do is to sit with my finished card for a moment or two and my journal, just really getting into my mind what this card means for me, having imbued all those positive feelings into it. So I do hope you've enjoyed this week. As I say, if you've any questions, please do ask in the comments below or on the file in the Facebook group. So I hope to see you again next week. And as always, I thank you for watching. Bye for now.